often ideas were coming from the West, backed by finances also. This is a very important thing. For example, you had this point 4 of President Truman, which had ideas that, technical training in the United States would be very important for development to take place in the East generally. And for each technical idea, President Truman also proposed financial help. So it's not as if an idea by itself will generate momentum, unless it is also backed by financial help. So that was taken place. Then the second example I would give of this is the PL 480. PL 480 funds. I don't know whether you are familiar with this. There is a deficit of food grains in India. In the 60s, started in 50s, late 50s and went on in 60s. And then there was a surplus in the United States of wheat. There was a surplus wheat there, and under Public Law 480, it is called Public Law 480, wheat was given as a gift to Government of India. And Government of India was free to sell that wheat, maybe at a subsidized rate, which means there will be a lot of income for Government of India. It is a grant to Government of India, but Government of India could sell the wheat to the Indian public, and then that would be a revenue for Government of India. But Government of India could spend that money only through an agreement between Government of India and the United States. These are called PL 480 funds. And in fact, the PL 480 funds at that, I can't reel off the figures offhand, but you can look into that as a researcher. Those were considerable grants. And they accounted for a good part of the national budgets here. And that money was used to promote particular kind of research here, whether in agriculture or in industry, in Indian agricultural universities. But in each and every case, it was important that a particular project needed the concurrence of United States also. So when you want to know how ideas were transmitted from the West to East, here is a point 4 was the beginning, point 4 of President Truman. That was on a very small scale, because at that time, point 4 is at the time of the inaugural of President Truman, when he was elected in 1949. At that time, it was still Europe which was under focus from the United States. That is because the European recovery just started after the Second World War. The Marshall Aid. Marshall Aid explained the major part of the American investment, actually. Point 4 was a very minor thing. But how Americans would view development efforts and development planning in the East can be read out of the Point 4 program actually. And then those ideas were scaled up. Those ideas were scaled up because of the fortuitous circumstance that India, for example, in any development debate, India figures in a very big way because of the huge population here. And it so happened that when United States was a little free from the European preoccupation, remarkable German recovery, that was a miracle. Erhard, wasn't it? Who was the finance minister of federal Germany at that time? Erhard, I think, yeah. The cigar smoking finance minister of... doesn't matter, we can get the names later. Yeah. So because of the remarkable recovery, particularly illustrated by the German recovery, Americans could give a little more focus to the developing nations, so-called. And that was the time when two other things also happened in a very coincided way. That is, the food problem in India, the grain shortage, and then the grain surplus in the United States. And therefore all the Point 4 ideas of President Truman were scaled up by President Johnson, for example. President Johnson was the one during whose term the PL 480 funds accumulated in a huge way, And so it was always the American ideas. The United States backed projects, whether in research or in development, which were there all over the country. John would remember this from his own experience also. Yeah. And so the project ideas and the project personnel and the project funds are very, very American in the 60s and probably until the late 70s also. It is the American ideas. Actually, we were swamped by these ideas. We were swamped by these projects. And we were swamped also by the personnel who were on a procession of visits to India. All over, you find Americans and no others.